house was never quiet, yet it always felt hollow. Each day began the same way, waking beside a man who had long since become a stranger. There was no warmth between them, no tenderness, only the heavy press of time. Their conversations had dwindled into bare necessities: bills, dinner, the weather. Love had once lived here, but now it echoed faintly, like a distant memory dot in the early days. She had tried. She offered gestures of affection, stayed up for late-night talks, even reached out physically, but all were met with apathy. His mind was always elsewhere: work, money, exhaustion. Eventually, she stopped asking for more, realizing it would never be given. Loneliness doesn't always arrive with tears. Sometimes it creeps in softly, filling the spaces between words that go unspoken. For years, she convinced herself this was just marriage. That passion fades. That comfort was enough. But comfort had become a cold, wordless silence, and she found herself aching for something she couldn't name. Then the donkey came. Her husband had brought it to help with the chores around their small farm. He mentioned it in the same flat. Tony used for everything practical. It'll help with the load. At first, she barely noticed it. It was just another animal. But there was something in its gaze, quiet and gentle, that caught her off guard. It didn't ask anything of her. It didn't turn away. It simply saw her. She found herself lingering near it more and more. A few extra moments by its pen, a soft stroke of its rough coat. She started speaking to it, testing out the sound of her voice in a world where she felt invisible. "Good morning," she'd whisper, and its ears would twitch in acknowledgement. She told it things she hadn't said aloud in years, that she felt unseen, unwanted, unsure what love was supposed to be. Slowly, it became a ritual. She'd rise early and slip away before her husband woke, just to press her forehead to its side and breathe. It was the only moment in her day that felt real. Her husband never questioned it if he noticed. He said nothing. They were two people drifting in opposite directions, no longer trying to close the distance. The donkey became her refuge. It didn't make sense, and she knew it. But emotions that had long been starved don't ask permission when they finally find nourishment. Over time, her connection to the donkey deepened. She thought of it constantly. Its presence brought warmth where everything else felt cold. When she touched it, she felt something steady and alive. One evening, under a sky streaked with sunset, she whispered, "You see me, don't you?" Of course, it didn't answer. But in that moment, it didn't need to. What had begun as comfort had become something more. She stopped questioning it. Her heart quickened at the sight of it. She lingered longer each day. She let the boundaries blur between affection and longing, between fantasy and reality. Her husband began to notice. "Where have you been?" he asked once. She mumbled something about chores. He didn't press, but the look in his eyes lingered. Still, she no longer cared to be cautious. She'd spent too long tiptoeing around a dead marriage. One night, unable to sleep, she slipped outside into the dark. The donkey stood waiting. She reached out, heart pounding. As her palm rested against its body, she knew she shouldn't be there. But she didn't care. For once, she didn't feel alone. Eventually, there was no more pretending. One night, emotions spilled past the limits she had tried to maintain. She pressed herself against the donkey, whispered things that should never be said out loud. That was when she heard it, the sharp breath, the sound of boots. She turned and saw her husband watching, his expression unreadable. He didn't yell, he didn't speak. He just walked away. After that, the house felt even colder. He never brought it up. But the silence between them grew heavier with meaning. Around town, people started whispering. They looked at her differently, some with pity, others with judgment. She no longer tried to hide what she felt. Let them think what they would. Let him suspect. But one evening, her husband finally asked, "What do you want from me?" She had no answer. She could have said she didn't mean for it to happen, but it wasn't true. She had been searching. And she had found something, even if it made no sense. The donkey remained unchanged, unbothered, free from guilt or shame. She envied it for that. He left the next morning. No arguments, no demands, just silence and absence. She didn't follow. She sat in the quiet he left behind and stared at the empty space where he used to be. And for the first time, she wondered, had she ever truly been seen at all?